Welcome to Gaga Knits. My name's Anita and I live in South Wales in the UK, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Anita Ball, and show notes can be found in the box below. I hope you've had a nice few weeks since I spoke last. I have been busy in my craft room as always, and I have got some knitting, crochet, sewing and cross stitch to show you today. My first object I was hoping would be a finished object, and that is my Flax light sweater that I am making using all my scrap 4-ply yarns in a magic yarn ball. And I had finished it, but I wanted the sleeves to be quite plain as I thought the body was quite busy, and I decided to use this 4-ply yarn, which is Mariner 4-ply that I bought in Shaw's, and it's really cheap. It's a really cheap acrylic yarn, and everything else was proper sock yarn. And when I tried them on and I looked down, I just felt like I was wearing rubber gloves. They were annoying me. They were jarring to the eye. So I have undone the one sleeve and I am knitting it back up with some minis that I have from Yarn Lab UK. I have made 2 balls. They were the same, but obviously I've started using this one. 2 yarn balls, exactly the same. So I've weighed 5 grams of each colour and then added, so that at least the stripes are going to be the same on each sleeve, and I think that's much nicer, and this yarn is much nicer to knit with. The cheap yarn from Shaw's is fine for jumpers and things for my grandsons, because as I've said in the past, I like baby or children knits to be in acrylic, so it's easy to put in the washing machine, as mums have enough work to do without having to worry about hand washing garments and things. I was hoping to have had the first sleeve finished to show you, but I'll work on that today. I've got the carpet fitter, well not the fitter, the carpet man's coming to measure for Josh's room for a new carpet in about half an hour. So after he's been, I can carry on and do a little bit of knitting. So that's my first object. Unfortunately not a finished object. Well, it was a finished object and now it's not a finished object anymore, but I will hopefully have that finished by my next episode. And another project I am working on, it started off quite well, but it has slowed down a little bit now. And it's the Ash Path Mitts by Zoe from Pins and Needles UK. And they are fingerless mitts, and they have this lovely cable design on the front. And I am just getting to the point where I am increasing for the thumb gusset. It's on that side there. So I'm just starting to increase. The only trouble with this is it's a lovely pattern, and I love Zoe's patterns because I get them. She explains it so well, or her instructions are how I understand them, so I like that. And I'm using this lovely Cartref yarn called Glow, I don't know how to pronounce it in Welsh, and it's DK, but it's quite a thick DK. It's very dark, and it's quite dark in the evenings at the moment when I come home from work, so I can't really see what I'm doing, and I don't want to go wrong. So this is a project that I have to do on the weekends or when the evenings get lighter. So I should be working on this weekend, but I want to do my Flax light. It's the trouble, I want to work on everything and I don't have enough time. So that is sort of on the back burner for a little while until the weather gets a bit brighter and I can see what I'm doing. My third work in progress is the Vanilla Latte socks, and I forgot to say, so The Flax Light is a free pattern on Ravelry. The Ash Path Mitts is a paid for pattern. And the Vanilla Latte Socks is a free pattern on Ravelry. And I am using the West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colourway from a couple of years ago. And I intended to finish these socks for Christmas 2019, and I didn't. So I was thinking these will be finished very early for Christmas 2020. But when I was at Jodie's last week and I was working on these, she said, "Oh, are you knitting those for St. David's Day?" Because it was St. David's Day on the 1st of March, which was last Sunday, as they are the Welsh flag colours. And I said, no, I hadn't intended to, but now they are going to be shared between Christmas and St. David's Day. And it's a really nice pattern. It's very simple, but it's just enough pattern, I think, for a self-striping yarn. And you get a choice of 3 different heel flaps. And I chose the Eye of Partridge heel because I hadn't done that before. And I thought that was going to be, I'd heard of it, and then I thought, oh, that must be complicated. And it isn't at all. It's very simple. It's just, I think, 4 rows, and it's really easy. So I quite like the look of that. It looks a bit different. And as I decided to knit the whole socks all in this colour and not put any contrast heels or anything in, I thought it's nice just to have a little bit of something different. So I have been working on those. I was working on those when I originally finished the Flax Light, but now I've had to go back to the Flax Light. I tend to work on that. Right, so that's my 3 knitting projects. So I'm doing quite well out of my 12 projects that I talked about at the beginning of the year. And I have a finished crochet project, which is the Dinosaur Hat by Sweet Potato 3, I think it's the pattern company's called. It's all linked in the description box anyway. And this was the 3rd one because originally this was the 1st one I cast on, or whatever you say in crochet terms, for Jack, and it was too small. So as I had to have made the hat anyway to try it on to decide it was too small, I thought I would just finish it and we could give it away to somebody else. Originally the pattern shows just the scales on the back, but when I made one for Jack and then a subsequent one for Harry, I made them all the way around the front because that's what they wanted. So this one is finished. It's a really nice pattern because I don't always do very well in crochet. I never seem to have the right crochet chain amount. I just find it harder to keep track of your progress and where you are as opposed to knitting, because I suppose I'm a knitter first before a crocheter. But I really like that pattern, and the yarn was leftovers from a jumper that I made Harry years ago. I think it was Caron something or other, but I will put it in the description box because I didn't put it in my notes and I can't remember what it is. But it's really nice. They've probably still got it, I expect. So that's my finished crochet project. And I have a very nearly finished sewing project. And here they are. It's the baby romper. Oh, I've got a thread on the back. By Made For Me. Let me see. Made By Me Patterns. And this fabric, the dinosaurs, what am I on? The crocodiles jersey fabric I got in the NEC in the Sewing for Pleasure spring craft show in the NEC in Birmingham, and that was last year. And the star fabric on the inside I got from the sewing shop in Frome, and the name of that one escapes me too, so as I say, it will be in the description box. And I think these are really cute. Jodie has asked me to make Jack some rompers, and I already had this fabric, and I was going to make them in that, but unfortunately it wasn't, I didn't have enough length. I had half a metre, and for Jack size you needed just over half a metre, plenty wide enough but not long enough. So I made these, and I thought it would be a good practice run. I made them all on my overlocker, and then I can give them away to a friend in work who's expecting, because this is not 3 months, as I say. The only thing I haven't done are the poppers, because I'm having a little bit of trouble with getting the poppers to stick together, so they're a bit pointless. I squeezed them together with the gadget. I have changed the little heads on the gadget, so thank you to everyone on Instagram who was offering me advice. But there's a sort of point of the one bit of the snap that goes through the connecting piece, and when you squeeze them together, the splodgy bit it makes is too big, so when I make the other side, and that splodgy bit, it's stopping them sticking together. But Josh has had a little look, and he's given me some little pliers, and he said if you just take a tiny bit off the top of the snap and then squeeze them together, it seems to be okay, and they seem to hold together and don't come apart, which I'm a bit worried about because obviously it's for a baby, so I'm still testing that theory. So those are those, and I do plan to make some larger ones for Jack. Sorry if you can hear some banging. Next door have decided to do some DIY when I want to podcast. How thoughtless of them. So I want to make some more of those for Jack, and I was waiting. I am going to the NEC again in about 2 weeks' time for the Sewing for Pleasure spring craft show. Is anyone else going? If you are, let me know, and maybe we can meet up. And as you may know, I am trying very hard not to buy anything on the internet and to find shops to buy things. And locally to me, anyway, I don't know about everywhere else in the country, it's hard enough to find a sewing shop, let alone a sewing shop that sells jersey fabric. But I have managed it, and there is a shop in Barry in South Wales called So Lovely, and they have the nicest jersey fabric that I've seen in a long time. I don't know if you've heard of some material called, or a fabric company called WYS and Irene, and they do the most gorgeous prints, and it's usually on cotton, but they also do a range of jerseys now, and So Lovely had some. So Martin and I went last Saturday, I think it was, to Barry to find this shop, and we had a bit of a problem because it is situated at 30 High Street, Barry, which is fine. Put that in the sat nav, found the High Street, parked, went to the High Street. There is a High Street in Barry, or the High Street in Barry, and there's also High Street, which is where the shop was. So we were in the High Street, which is about 1.5 miles from High Street. So we walked to the shop anyway, and that street, High Street, has some really nice independent shops there, but we couldn't really have a good look around because we'd taken so long. We knew we only had 2 hours, we had to get back to the car. But the young lady who served me was so helpful and lovely. In So Lovely, what would you expect? And I bought this fabric. I bought a metre of this, which is so pretty, and I thought that would be nice for Jack. It's sort of, well, we're still in winter, aren't we? Although I think it's meant to be spring now. But I thought that's not too bad because it's nice and light. And I also bought half a metre of the ribbing in a tube, because since using it on the little petite pegs, I really like that. So that's just for the cuffs. And I thought I can keep this then for when I make Harry some joggers, because he has asked me to make him some jogging bottoms. And I also have I purchased another made by me pattern called Kids Joggers for Harry, and the size ranges from 2 to 10 years, so I thought that was really good, and it was a couple of pounds, and I did purchase those online, but as someone said on Instagram, or possibly on this channel, it doesn't count because they're digital patterns and I couldn't get them any other way. And I do have to confess, I have ordered something on the internet. It's rather large and it's for my craft room. It had to be a specific size and I couldn't find it anywhere, so I have ordered it and I'm waiting for it. Part of it has been delivered and I'm waiting for the other part, and then I shall show you what it is, but not until it's here. My last work in progress is sewing, and I had, last time I showed you all the curtain fabric samples I had from my sister-in-law and asked you if you had any suggestions about what I could make with them, and thank you to everyone who suggested things for me, and I decided to go with Rona's suggestion, which was to make a buffet, and she guided me towards a free pattern from Closet Case Patterns, and I downloaded that and made the templates, and I have cut out all the fabric now and interfaced all the pieces. I think there was 26 pieces, so it took a little while, but it was good fun. And now all I've got to do is get some binding cord and a strong zip. I have got some long zips, but I want to get quite a strong one since I think it's going to take a bit of well, it'll be wear and tear, and I expect the boys will climb all over it and things, so I don't want it to tear or anything, so I'm going to get a nice strong zip for that. And last but not least, I have my cross stitch. I have finished my little Miss Chatterbox cross stitch. Oh, it's a bit shiny. I put it in a frame because I think they look nice in these frames. I have made a few mistakes. It is such a simple pattern, and yet I made mistakes, so it doesn't really matter. And you were meant to do little French knots with her freckles, but when I was trying to do them, they kept pulling through, so I have made it without the French knots because I thought the freckles looked a little bit like blackheads anyway, and I didn't want to have a face full of blackheads. So that's her all done. And in my stash of projects and old things, I've been having a bit of a sort out, and I found this little ruler project. So it's a caterpillar, and then you make it on this little bit of Ada fabric, and you put it inside this ruler. So I thought that was quite nice, and I've got the pattern still for this. You had to use your own threads, but I've got loads of leftover threads. That's a good scrap buster, being able to do that. And I thought I could make some bookmarks for Harry and Jack because they're quite nice. Do you remember in school when you used to do sort of little cross stitch bookmarks and things like that? Maybe I'll get Harry to make his own. So yeah, so that's my last project. That's pretty much everything at the moment. I have got some projects planned, but I have to wait until I go to the NEC to get some jersey fabric, and I do have my sewing plans. I haven't done that well with those at the moment because you do need more time to do sewing, and I do plan to make the Kitson bag out of the kit that came with her sew book. I'm hopefully going to do that by my next episode, and I was thinking of maybe filming myself making it because someone had suggested or requested that I do some sewing videos, and I'm not really very good at sewing, but I should give it a shot as I've been asked. And also Anne has asked if I let her know when I start sewing the bag because she also has that kit, and she said it would be fun to sew along together. So I thought if I filmed me sewing it and then let Anne know, then she can watch that and sort of sew along with me, if that makes any sense. So anyway, I hope you all stay safe and well, and I shall see you all in a few weeks' time. Bye for now.